On this episode of RuneScape Mythbusters, I find out answers to questions like, can you die on Tutorial Island? Does a shooting star crush you if it lands on top of you? Do these NPCs only exist for a certain group of players? These myths and more are getting confirmed or busted. Let's start off with the myth that's been around for a long time. Can you die on a new account on Tutorial Island? Tutorial Island is where every new player begins their RuneScape adventure, and you learn valuable lessons about how to progress your account. The game holds your hand in this entire place and will do anything to keep you playing instead of logging out. One thing that might cause someone to quit is dying right away, so it's something that Jagex is trying to prevent from happening here. There's only one place you take damage on the entire island, and that's underground in the pit with the rats. So make a new account, get it to the rat pits, let the rats attack you, and wait. In my case, I waited for 5 minutes and never died. I would get to 1 HP, but the rat was never able to kill me. This way of dying isn't possible, but we're not going to give up just yet. There is a way to die in this pit. It's just very strange. The way this area is coded is for the rats to be able to get you down to 1 HP, but never be able to kill you. We can get around this by lighting a fire as the rat is attacking us, which stalls the rat's hits. Most importantly, you have to be on 2 HP. So get yourself to 2 HP, light a fire whilst the rat is still attacking you, and... yes!
It actually worked?
It worked! Since you're delaying the rat's hits as you're lighting the fire, it still sees you as being on 2 HP for the couple of hits he's able to get in on you. With a bit of RNG, the 2 hits he does get in do 1 damage each, because both times he attacks, he sees you on 2 HP since we're stalling the damage with the fire we're lighting. Then, the damage will all stack on the same tick that we finished lighting the fire on, which causes a death. You actually spawn all the way back at the start of Tutorial Island as well, instead of just outside the rat pit, which is pretty funny. You do keep all your items, however, as well, instead of losing them. Rumor has it that back in the day, if you did somehow die to the rats, it actually spawned you outside of Lumbridge, which would skip a pretty big chunk of Tutorial Island. The myth that it's impossible to die on Tutorial Island is busted. It just involves a sequence of events that will probably never ever happen to a new player. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Deck the Ball season, brought to you by Manscaped. Need a Christmas present for yourself or someone else? I've got you covered. The new Manscaped Perfect Package 5.0 Ultra is out now, featuring some of Manscaped's best products yet. The Lawnmower 5.0 electric trimmer elevates your grooming game with its next-gen skin-safe blade heads. The new blade is longer, wider, and really tough on hair, yet gentle on the skin. The new foil blade is the game changer, designed to leave a sleek and smooth finish. Start your sessions with the trimmer, then attach the foil blade to get down to skin level. You're getting 2 different types of trimmers, but only paying for one. The electric trimmer is still waterproof, has a rechargeable battery, and also features a bigger LED light to help you navigate those tough to see areas. You're also getting the crop soother and preserver, the perfect dynamic duo to keep you refreshed and revitalized. And it smells like cocoa butter. You can't beat that. On top of all of that, you also get 1 free gift if you get the Perfect Package 5.0, the Manscaped Shed 2.0 travel bag, perfect for storing everything you need when on the go. So head over to manscaped.com and get your hands on the Perfect Package 5.0 Ultra. Use my code SoupRS and you'll get 20% off, plus 1 free gift and free international shipping. It's the perfect present, or should I say package, for the holiday season. Thanks to Manscaped for sponsoring this video. If a shooting star lands on you, you instantly die. Many of you have probably never seen a shooting star actually land on the ground. This is what happens. Before it lands, a big shadow appears on the ground and ominously moves towards the spot it's going to land on. Then it plummets to the ground. So what happens if we stand on the spot it plummets to? Realistically, we should be crushed and instantly die, but in reality, all that happens is your character takes a little bonk to the head, flies back a few tiles, and is totally safe. No damage inflicted whatsoever. Now, I think this should be changed. At least make it so there's a 1 in 100 chance or something to be immediately killed if a shooting star lands on top of you. That could potentially lead to the funniest hardcore Iron Man death of all time. Tell you what, 7,000 likes on this video and I'll have a word to get this in the game with some of my Jagex mod friends. Myth busted. Selling a Draenor Manor cabbage to a general store and buying it back allows you to use it during the Black Knight's Fortress quest. This is really interesting. During the Black Knight's Fortress quest, you have to throw a cabbage down a hole into the Witch's Cauldron. You are specifically told not to use a cabbage from Draenor Manor. Draenor Manor has a small cabbage patch with 7 cabbages that can be found on the western side of the manor. If we pick one and try to use it during the quest, it tells us this is the wrong sort of cabbage. What's weird about this cabbage is that it can be traded freely amongst players and heals 1 HP. HP, just like a normal cabbage. But it cannot be sold on the Grand Exchange. So what happens if we sell it to a general store, buy it back, and then use it during Black Knight's Fortress? Does that somehow change anything about the cabbage that lets us use it? After selling it to the Edgeville general store and buying it back, it unfortunately did not work, and I still got the same message. This is the wrong sort of cabbage. It just doesn't work. As you can see, a normal cabbage has an item ID of 1161. A Draenor Manor cabbage has an item ID of 11494. They're both cabbages, just two different types of them, and there's no way that I know of for one to turn into the other. If you look closely, you can see that a Draenor Manor cabbage looks slightly darker than a normal one to help make a distinction between the two. Another fun fact about these cabbages is depending on your defense level, they will actually give you a temporary boost in defense. +1 if your level is between 1 and 49, and +2 if your defense level is between 50 and 99. Pretty neat. The fastest way to gain favor for your Miscellanea Kingdom is to buy flowers from the Miscellanea Flower Girl. Not long ago, our friends at the incredible OSRS Wiki tweeted out that every time you buy a flower from the Flower Girl, you gain about 0.4% favor. This has been in the game since 2004, but was apparently undocumented until last year. Buying a flower from the Flower Girl is a pretty quick process as well, taking around 3 seconds to buy a flower. Was the fastest way to gain favor for your kingdom on Miscellanea just discovered after 19 years? Currently, the fastest way to gain favor on Miscellanea is to do a little trick when raking these weeds just outside the castle. If you fully rake the flax patch and herb patch and get 6 weeds, then wait for the patches to grow one more set of weeds, rake those as well, and then hop, the next world will have fully grown weeds in them. This means that per world, you're getting about 8% favor since you're raking 8 weeds. For me, it took 10 minutes and 20 seconds to go from 25% to 100% favor doing this method. When it comes to gaining favor from the Flower Girl, it's just like doing a RuneScape quest. Hold down the spacebar, press 1 when she asks you to buy flowers, pay 15 GP, and repeat. Keep doing this until you get a full inventory of flowers. Drop them all, and repeat. If you're really feeling stingy for cash, you can always bank them for a bit of profit as a little unusual moneymaker. But yeah, you buy your flowers until your favor hits 100%. Going from 25 to 100% favor doing this method took 11 minutes and 20 seconds. 1 minute slower than raking the weeds. In total, I bought 153 flowers from her. This comes out to buying 1 flower every 4.5 seconds or so. If I were to do it tick perfect every time, it would knock down the overall time by a bit, but I don't think it would be enough to beat out the raking weeds method. Plus, I think most people would prefer to rake the weeds anyway since it's not as click intensive. This new myth is busted. While it is fast, this isn't the new, fastest way to gain favor for your Miscellanea Kingdom. Only certain accounts are able to see 3 NPCs found in the northern part of Musa Point. Do me a favor, head to this dock north of the banana plantation on Musa Point. Once you get there, check if you're able to see these 3 NPCs: Jack, Jill, and Jeff. Go ahead, pause the video and check. If the 3 of them are there for you, congratulations, you're part of a very small group of players who can actually see them. If not, you're out of luck. There's no possible way for you to ever see or interact with them on your account. Why is this? Well, Jack, Jill, and Jeff were part of the first ever Old School RuneScape Christmas event back in 2013. During the event, these creatures called Goblinches kidnap children from Musa Point, and you're forced to throw snowballs at the Goblinches to get them to leave and save the children. You then put the Goblinches in cages and you complete the event. Yes, this actually happened. I have a guide on it and I made it back in 2013. If you successfully completed this event, Jack, Jill, and Jeff would appear north of the dock and thank you for helping them out. For some reason, even after the event was removed from the game, they weren't and can still be found 10 years later in this exact same spot. The myth is true. They can only be seen by accounts that completed the 2013 Old School Christmas event. The Carn Isle Bridge has a better success chance depending on if you're running or walking. Everybody knows about this wooden bridge, and everyone hates this wooden bridge because it feels like the chance of you falling off is always high. Can we prevent this from happening by running across quickly or walking across slowly? I decided to test this by running and walking back and forth across the bridge 500 times to see if we could find a significant difference. My agility level is 86. Not low, but not that high either, so I do expect to fall off a good bit. During my testing of the 500 crosses while running, I fell a total of 59 times. This means I successfully crossed the bridge 88.2% of the time. During my 500 walks across this bridge, I fell a total of 49 times. This means I successfully crossed the bridge 90.2% of the time, so a 2% difference in successful crossing when walking versus running. I don't think this is statistically significant enough to confirm that walking is better than running. In fact, putting those numbers into a statistical significance calculator tells us that those results are not significant. Now, after I finished this test, my friend Settle told me that there's a guaranteed way to cross this bridge without ever failing. All you have to do is open up a menu when you run or walk across and you'll never fail. Just make sure to red-click on something before you cross, like the well-stacked rocks on the island or the ladder if you're crossing back over. After you red-click, just open up something like an in-game quest guide and you won't fail, ever. So instead of worrying about whether you should walk or run, just worry about opening up a menu. The myth that there's a difference when walking or running across the Carnisle Bridge is busted. The Apol Fairy Ring doesn't require a Drayman Staff, even if you don't have the Lumberj Elite Diary done. Every Fairy Ring in the game requires you to use a Drayman Staff, unless you've completed the Lumberj Elite Diary, which lets you travel with Fairy Rings without one. Probably the best diary perk there is. I recommend everyone get that done. The Apol Fairy Ring isn't like the others. To get to this Fairy Ring, you can either teleport to it or partially complete the Apol Agility course with a Ninja or Kruk Grigri equipped. As you can see, on this account, I don't have the Lumberj Elite Diary done, and I don't have a Drayman Staff. All I have are some Monkey Grigris. Yet, check this out. I'm able to use the Fairy Ring. At first, I thought that the only thing you needed for this was a Grigri, but it turns out that you need nothing at all to use this. I don't think this is a bug, however. I think that Jagex thought that there potentially could be a scenario where a player gets up here, somehow doesn't have their Drayman Staff, and loses their Monkey Grigri. They also, for some reason, are unable to use their home or minigame teleports, so the only way for them to get out would be to use this Fairy Ring, which is why they decided to be humble and not require a Drayman Staff to use it. From what I know, this is the only Fairy Ring in the game that's like this. This myth is confirmed to be true. Speaking of Fairy Rings, God, I'm so sick of saying that word. I recently discovered an interaction they had with a couple of items that I couldn't believe were true. Did you know that every time you use a Fairy Ring with a Fire Cape or Infernal Cape, a placeholder cape is used as you teleport? As you can see, when I teleport with a Fire Cape, this ugly orange static cape appears for a few seconds as the animation is happening. The same thing happens with an Infernal Cape. This static orange and black cape appears for a few seconds. Incredibly strange, and I'm sure there is a spaghetti code reason for this happening. Interestingly, other items that also have this type of texture animation on an item, like the Volcanic Abyssal Whip, don't have a placeholder item. The black part of the whip fades away, but the fire part of it just stays in place. I don't know enough about the in-depths of coding and texture interactions to know why this happens, but I know all of you are way smarter than I am, so feel free to educate me in the comments. It's actually faster to get to the Grand Exchange from the center of Varrock by taking the route next to the castle instead of next to Varrock West Bank. I've always taken the route to the left, so if this myth is actually true, I'd be very sad. Luckily, the Tileman plugin can help us track exactly how many tiles it takes to get from this tile in the center of Varrock to the Grand Exchange. On the first run, I took the northern path to get to the GE, which runs us on a path west of Varrock Castle and through the eastern part of the GE. In total, it took us 91 tiles to get here. For the second run, I started off running west and then headed north in the gap between Varrock West Bank and the Varrock Castle wall. Keep heading north through the entrance to the Grand Exchange, and the run finishes at 77 tiles. 14 tiles closer than the northern path. Out of curiosity, I did test if running north of the staff shop made any difference in how long it takes. Funnily enough, going this way is 1 tile slower than the other way. We ended this run at 78 tiles. If you ever want confirmation on the fastest way to get somewhere, you can always use the shortest path plugin. With this plugin enabled, we can zoom in on the map on the place we want to get to, right-click, and select Set Target. This will give us the fastest path to get from point A to point B. And as you can see in this clip, it tells us the absolute fastest path to the Grand Exchange from the center of Varrock is this path right here. The myth that the northern route from the center of Varrock to the Grand Exchange being faster is busted. Speaking of fastest routes, a channel viewer named Bodhi wants to know what the fastest way to get out of the wilderness is once you leave the agility shortcut in the northern part of the lava maze. This part of the maze is required for multiple clue scroll steps. If you've ever done an elite or master clue grind, there's a chance you've found yourself up here. Jagex was nice enough to add a level 82 agility shortcut to help you get to and leave this area a bit quicker. But what is the fastest way to get out of the wilderness after you hop over this stepping stone? Looking at this map, I can think of 4 potential ways to leave. Number 1, you run to the level 44 obelisk, teleport to a lower wilderness level obelisk, and teleport out. Number 2, you run to the King Black Dragon lair, pull the lever to get in, and teleport out. Number 3, you run a bit east and then south to the level 35 obelisk, teleport to a lower wilderness level obelisk, and teleport out. And finally, number 4, you once again run a bit east and then south and just run to level 30 wilderness and teleport out. I've got all 4 routes on screen right now. Let's see which one is the fastest. With a time of 40.38 seconds, running to the KBD layer and teleporting out is the fastest possible way to exit the wilderness after leaving the lava maze. Almost 6 seconds faster than taking the level 44 obelisk. Running to level 30 and teleporting and running to the level 35 obelisk and teleporting out are actually really close in time to one another, which is kinda neat. There really wasn't a myth with this one, but the next time you see your friend taking the wrong route here, push up your glasses and say, actually, there's a faster way. There's no difference in time when you're at a farming patch and you use the compost and then the seed, or you use the seed and then the compost. Good question. Has a certain group of players who've been doing it one way been wasting thousands of ticks while planting their seed? Let's check. First up, we'll use the compost and then plant the seed. This takes us 7 game ticks or 4.2 seconds. Next up, we plant our seed and then use the compost. This also takes us 7 ticks or 4.2 seconds. The seed planting animation looks a bit shorter than the compost animation, but both XP drops pop up at the same time, so unless I'm missing something, I don't see any difference in time. Myth is confirmed. If you have any myths or tests you think I should try out for the next RuneScape Mythbusters episode, make sure to leave them in the comments below or shoot me a DM on Twitter or Discord. I have 3 other RuneScape Mythbusters episodes available to watch if you're craving some more myth busting, so check them out if you haven't already. I'll link them in the description. If you haven't already, a like on the video and subscription to this channel helps out greatly. Thanks to everyone in advance, and as usual, I'll see you all in the next one.